All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. I had a request to check out actually a pretty old video, it turns out. But this is from one of our regulars, not just regulars. You know who you are. You've been here pretty much since the beginning. Actually, you might be here from the very beginning. So, yeah, you put out a suggestion. And yeah, I'm doing it. All right. So what this is a video from Dom2K. This is from 6 years ago. And the video title is Why LeBron James is Undoubtedly Greater Than Kobe Bryant. I know. Just triggered all of you with that. I got triggered the second I read the title too. And I don't know. I got to check it out. I got to see what this reasoning is. So you already know I don't agree with this. I've got Kobe far ahead of LeBron James when it comes to greatness. And yeah, I don't think there's going to be something in this video that's going to change my mind. What I do want to do is see what the hell kind of BS was being said, because this was, what, 2 years before Kobe passed away? So we'll go back to 2018 with this one. And yeah, I just want to see what the heck this is. So anyways, everybody, as always, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description. If you want to check it out without my commentary, feel free. And everybody else, please leave this video a like. I appreciate you all. And it's going to be an ugly one. Let's do it.
I hit up a longtime friend the morning before this vid because before I officially took a stance on this ancient topic, I just needed to be sure. I'd spent my childhood watching Kobe terrorize his team, my team, hell, everyone's team it seemed for a good stretch, and somehow around a decade later, I found myself agreeing with NBA Twitter of all places that, yeah, LeBron James had in fact eclipsed the glamorous career of Kobe Bryant. So my friend answered, and it was something along the lines of the idea that personally he would take Kobe, but he'd submitted to the fact that LeBron is the greater player and that he does rank higher. And today, after a long time of never really taking a solid stance, I'm gonna explain to you why that's the exact answer I had in my head before he'd even said it. And if you want to see Kobe win his 6th ring next year after he signs with the Warriors, since apparently they're just gonna get everybody, the best place to get your tickets is with the SeatGeek app. SeatGeek app
Could you imagine if Kobe went ring chasing to the Warriors in his final years? That's only something like Lebowko would do. Okay, here we go.
Definitely recommend this for you.
Promo for SeatGeek, everyone.
This video is not going to be like the LeBron and Jordan comparison I did a couple of months ago. That one had a ton to do with stats and things that you could really compute, but today I just wanted to speak more from what I've experienced and learned through following these careers so closely.
What were they doing having this debate about Jordan and LeBron 6 years ago? In 15 seasons in for both of them, it's obvious who accomplished more. And by more, I mean like double. Like he was like 50% to where the status of where Jordan is. Why would we even waste our time having that discussion? I don't understand. Is anybody out there really trying to like argue that, I don't know, who's somebody else that would fit the criteria? Okay, Dwayne Wade has three rings. Are we going to argue that Dwayne Wade is better than Michael Jordan? Like, is that it? Are we going to have a GOAT debate on Dwayne Wade better than Michael Jordan? Because he accomplished half of what MJ did too. So we're going to do that? Makes no sense. Unbelievable.
Today, I just wanted to speak more from what I've experienced and learned through following these careers so closely. So why have I finally come around to putting myself on record with this debate? Kobe and LeBron has been a brutally debated topic since back in the land before time when I was still in middle school and the NBA was airing the puppet commercials in anticipation of a finals that would sadly never happen. It hasn't really seemed to slow down since then, and the only thing that's changed is that Kobe heavily declined during the debate and eventually retired, which means he's no longer here on the court to defend himself, and now he just takes to Twitter to passive-aggressively tell you where he stands by retweeting trolls with his 2 cents.
Interesting. Wait. That's actually very interesting to me.
Passive-aggressively tell you where he stands.
All right. Eric said if Kobe Bryant was on the Heat, Cavs, instead of King James the past 6 years and faced the 13, 14, he had to face those teams. He faced the Spurs every year in the playoffs. Blah, 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 Warriors. he would have 0 rings. Context is everything. But he beat the Spurs multiple times in the playoffs in order to get to the finals. What an idiot. Okay, Kobe's rebuttal. We had to face the Spurs every postseason pretty much, not to mention the first super team in Boston. But hey, what do I know? Yeah, dead on. Dead on.
Stands by retweeting trolls with his 2 cents. But because he's no longer on the court to defend himself or to prove haters wrong, there's a growing number of people who never watched his best days critiquing him, and another group that is just flat out haters and they did see him play, but they're still trying to convince you that he was never that great, and that somehow he shouldn't even be mentioned in the same breath as LeBron. However, having experienced both of their careers up close and having seen them both terrorize multiple teams and fan bases, mine included, I can at least agree that LeBron is greater than Kobe and that he does in fact rank higher. For me, it starts at a base level and has to do with, in general, the type of players that they prove to be throughout their careers. Watching LeBron, you've got this guy that seemed to be able to do absolutely anything.
Okay, stats. Yeah, stats.
Court he's wanted to through skill, brute strength, intelligence, and unselfishness.
Played in the lowest scoring era, played in the highest scoring era, by the way. At least the 50% of his career. And, okay, whatever, points, rebounds. Okay, LeBron's leading in every category by slightly. 44-7. I thought Kobe shot lower than that. 44-7 is actually not that bad. Okay, except for free throw shooting. That's the only place that Kobe's got him on stats. But in this, like, going from an inflated era to a deflated era, this means nothing because it's just slightly inflated. I care about winning, guys. I don't know if you noticed when it comes to this channel. I care about winning. So I see Kobe, I see 5 for 7. I see Lebauco, and I see 4 for 10. That's what I see. I see 40% here.
Kobe didn't have the same strength or size, obviously, but if you listen to his opponents, their takes roughly equate to the idea that he could dominate you through being at very least the second most skilled player of all time, combined with sheer will and determination. But in this debate, Kobe's sheer will and determination is where I'm already able to branch off and start to discuss what's made LeBron greater in my eyes. Over the last year and a half, I've done so much studying on Kobe because he's very entertaining to listen to in my opinion, but through that, I gained the sense that this unbreakable, unwavering will kind of worked against him at certain points throughout his career. Some of you may start to recognize this as the infamous selfish label that's been following him around for a really long time now. Well, he's also probably the hardest working player of all time, and as you learn about him, it basically comes down to it was his way or the highway. I mean, as a regular sized shooting guard, how else could you muster up the courage to fathom fighting Shaq without a weapon? But from what I've learned, what I remember about him, and with the advantage of hindsight, I can honestly say that his most admirable qualities of determination and will actually worked against his career at many key points. Hell, look no further than the rift early on in his career with Shaq. I've already made a video explaining that rift and showing why their breakup wasn't solely on either one of them.
No, it took 2. It was both of them. Actually, it was all 3 because Phil Jackson was in on it too. Phil would strategically put out quotes to the media in order to raise the tension in the locker room because he felt that by the end of the season, he's going to get the best out of his guys. And guess what? He was right until he wasn't anymore. And the team had to blow up. But he got 3 championships out of that. So I'd say that was pretty good. He went 3 for 4. But yeah, you can't just blame Kobe on that. You can't just blame Shaq. But I also do look at Shaq and I see your first 3 teams, you had jealousy issues. And no, I'm not trying to disrespect Shaq, but if we're going to be fair, let's be fair. He had jealousy issues with Penny because little Penny was on the rise and everyone was buying his shoes. So he jetted it to LA to be king. And he was king of LA until Kobe Bryant was on the rise. And then he got jealous of Kobe and started criticizing him, calling him a ball hog and all kinds of stuff. Then he went to Miami and he didn't have jealousy issues with Dwayne Wade, but he literally got escorted by the police out of the building by Pat Riley to get the hell off of Miami and get the hell out of there. And then he came to my Suns. He was actually pretty cool in Phoenix. He didn't fit in here. I think he got a little humbled by that point. But that's just some context here. So I'm not saying Kobe didn't have a part of it. Of course he did. All three of them did. But you can't just put all the blame on Kobe.
But when it came down to it, Kobe has said with his own mouth that he simply wasn't going to continue to play in Shaq's shadow and had people say that he couldn't win without him. And even before it came to that, a lot of their riff had to do with them both being these gigantic alpha personalities. Shaq was larger than life and outgoing, and Kobe was just 1000% about his work. And it was difficult for him to relate to a guy like Shaq who didn't share those same values. So when you put those two in a locker room together, you start to understand why a duo with the potential of around 6 rings ended up with 3 and a finals loss. And like anyone else, I've often thought about, well, what if it was LeBron instead of Kobe? What if he'd have been drafted with a top 3 center in history and his career was molded from that?
Oh, if it was LeBron, he would have secretly gotten Shaq traded while pretending to be his best friend everywhere. That's what he would have done.
I never get over dramatic and call 8 or 10 rings because I always have questions about how LeBron would have fit with the paint clogging, non-shooting center when he couldn't shoot that well himself for a while. But I don't have any questions about how that duo would have coexisted and reached its potential. It goes deeper than just LeBron sharing the ball more than Kobe because he's a shooting guard and it's not his job. Kobe had it built into his system that sometimes nobody else on the court mattered and he was just going to do it himself. That's part of the killer mentality you always hear about, the Black Mamba, but as I'm going to discuss later, that definitely held him back more than people realize. And so when you think about LeBron, were there times like 2011 where he wasn't enough of a killer? Are there questions about the LeBron system hurting the players around him today? Sure, but the one thing you never had to worry about was LeBron shooting his team out of the game. You never had to question.
No, because he doesn't take the big shots. So, of course, he's not. Actually, if anything, people are probably getting fed up because he won't do it. And he's the star and he gets all the attention. So you should be taking the big shots, but he won't. Say what you will about Kobe, but at least he took the damn shots, And that's something that a lot of people who, 1, played with Kobe and 2, played with Jordan and Bird, by the way, they all say the same thing. And that's that it's good to know he's on our side when it comes down to the clutch. He's not only is he going to take the shot, he wants to take the shot. And it goes for all 3 of them. LeBron, it's a hot potato in his hand. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want it, so he passes it off.
He was going to make the right basketball play, and you never had to worry about whether he was going to put his own goals over team goals. But it doesn't end there. I absolutely love Kobe's killer mentality, and despite NBA Twitter spending day and night just trying to convince you that it's nothing more than being inefficient or a ball hog, you can talk to a number of his victims and learn that it was probably a little bit deeper than that. However, there is no ignoring that his mentality had its faults and that it did have this nasty tendency to devolve into a one-man show. So where this matters is on the biggest stages, the playoffs, the finals, those areas where legacies are made. Yeah, by now, LeBron has lost almost as many times as Kobe has even been to the finals, but look closely at their legacy-defining moments. I gave this more thought during the 2018 playoffs because after I watched LeBron string together probably the best consistent basketball I've ever watched, I also took note of just how effortlessly he was making everything look. Not only was he just flat out dominating Game 7s or toying with the Raptors as if he was in a pickup game, but for most of his performances, despite his age and sky-high usage rating, he really looked like he was in a scrimmage sometimes. Yes, these NBA hardwood classic performances that he was putting on, he was literally just stringing them together like he was taking a stroll through the park. And then in Game 1 of the finals, for what very easily could have turned out to be the biggest game of his career, he put up a Mozart-like masterpiece that nearly stole home court advantage from the greatest team of all time. So then I thought back, how many times have I seen LeBron just put up career-altering performances with ease in these past years? And the fact that so many of them come off the top of my head just said everything it needed to and more. Game 5 in the 2016 Finals, Game 7 2016 Finals, Game 6 and 7 against the Spurs in 2013, Game 5 against Detroit in 07, Game 7 against Boston in 08, and those are just his classic performances off the top. Those don't even count the playoff series that he just dominated overall as his team breezed to the next round. And from there, I only needed to read one more thing to make it all clear to me. I cracked open the book of basketball because I just wanted another opinion on LeBron.
Teen Wolf, that's the real GOAT right there. Teen Wolf, 100%. Have you seen that movie? Have you seen that wolf play basketball? That's the GOAT. I don't know what I was thinking about when I was talking about Jordan being the GOAT. I changed my mind. Michael J. Fox as a freaking wolf, as a teen wolf, that's the GOAT.
And Kobe, and one line in particular stuck out to me. In short, it said that in Kobe's 3 finals from 2008 to 2010, you could argue that he didn't have one classic or all-time performance in any one of those series. Now, I would disagree because I can clearly remember off the top of my head him torching the Orlando Magic in Game 1 of 2009, and I'd also like to add that he had plenty of great moments in those playoff runs in general that didn't include the finals. But the line resonated with me because as great as Kobe was, and as high as I have him ranked, there was some truth to it. When you think about the flat-out signature games that define a career, not only does Kobe not have many of those, nor could he crank them out at the rate that LeBron James did, but he actually performed poorly in some of them. 2 that immediately come to mind are in the entire 2004 finals when he all but shot Los Angeles out of the Detroit series, and in 2010 when he fell right into the Celtics' hands by taking the impossibly difficult shots that the defense wanted him to take.
They did the exact same thing to LeBron though.
The video about that game and just how close it came to being one of the biggest black marks on his entire career.
They literally did the same defensive strategy on LeBron and pushed him out to the perimeter, and LeBron got stuck shooting jumpers, and then he danced his happy ass all the way to Miami after that to get some help. Dom 2K, man. Shoot. Shoot. Okay. For some perspective, Dom 2K is doing this right after. So this is right after they won that championship, right? So he's got that championship with Cleveland in his mind, and I wonder how he feels about this now that years have passed by and he can get, those endorphins have calmed down at this point. I remember when the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis beat my Phoenix Suns a couple years back in the finals. I walked away from that finals devastated, first of all. But second, I said, Giannis, I told everybody, I even got a pair of his shoes. I told everybody, Giannis might be top 10. I haven't seen a performance like to do that in the finals. I went around shouting it to the world. I was like, this is one of the greatest basketball players I've ever seen. This was his first time in a final situation, and he steps up like that, and he torches us like that. And, that's when the excitement was high and whatever, and the emotions were elevated. Now that a couple of years have gone by, I'm like, yeah, no, Giannis is a hell of a basketball player, but it ain't like that. It's not like how I was saying back then. So I wonder if that has anything to do with what's going on with Dom here.
These days, I'm not one of the people who harps on his field goal percentage because at the end of the day, he found a way to get it done. But in this conversation, I think you can see how something like that matters.
Yeah, and his field goal percentage is basically the same as LeBron's. Is actually nowadays, it's probably LeBron's had to have gone down probably. But the difference is Kobe's taking the most difficult shots. Him and Steph Curry I've never seen anybody take the more difficult shots than those two. And then you got LeBron, who's getting the easiest shots I've ever seen for anybody who's not a center. 90% of his shots, and I'm not even exaggerating here, are right there in the paint, either dunks or layups. And if you take his percentages for jump shots, it starts to get into like the 30 percentile. Like it's really ugly. So yeah, I don't like the field goal percentage comparison between these two players at all.
It matters to me because when looking at them as individual players, and if I'm trying to find flaws or break them down, that's just one place where I can find more wrong about Kobe than I can about LeBron. And at this point, James's overall record of 3-6 in the finals has a lot more to do with the fact that he's been in some really unfortunate situations team-wise as opposed to him not just showing up. And
okay, he just snuck that in, and him just not showing up. That's one of those things. Yeah, no big deal though, right? Just LeBron doesn't show up in the finals once in a while. No big deal, right? That's cool? Yeah, okay, that's cool.
I'm not going to stoop to the level of saying that he was carried by Shaq, but let's put it this way. In all 7 finals that he ever went to in his career, he never didn't have the team necessary to pull it off or to make it competitive.
What about LeBron? Okay, I'm not going to do it. LeBron has played with about 10 times more All-Stars than Kobe Bryant. Let's just put it out there. We all know it's the truth. Okay. Yeah, Pau Gasol. Yeah, Pau Gasol, I believe, was an All-Star once. And I love his game. Fantastic center. Perfect center for Kobe during those years. And he had Shaq. And who else did he have? No, guys? Who else did Kobe have? And then when we go to LeBron, man, it gets disgusting. He had Shaq as well. He had D Wade, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving. Freaking Anthony Davis now, Russell Westbrook. It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
When you think about
this is part of the problem, and it started all those years ago. Of LeBron doesn't have help, and it's so crazy because Kobe and MJ both did it with way less help. Way less help. Who did MJ have? Pippen. Cool.
About something like his horrible Game 4 performance in '08 that led to LA blowing a lead to go down 3-1 to Boston, those are black marks we don't hear much about. And that's important because when I talked about LeBron and Jordan in the finals, I mentioned that Jordan pretty much has a stainless record in the finals, whereas LeBron has a series like 2011. Well, Kobe may not have something like 2011, but 2004 is pretty damn close. And '08 wasn't that great of a series for him either. And in the only playoffs that Kobe played during his prime without good teams, they both got dispatched in the first round. Now, disclaimer, we're not about to put so much weight on that in this conversation.
No, that was year 1 and year 2 of a rebuild. That's like putting weight on LeBron's first season in the NBA because they were rebuilding. They were starting their build around LeBron. The first couple of years without Shaq for Kobe was the first couple of years of a rebuild. And it was successful by the time that they started going to the championship, the finals again. That's when the rebuild was completed and they were a competing team. Kobe had no business being in the playoffs against my Suns during this time. We were the hottest team in the league, and he was just starting a rebuild. The fact that he was in there competing against us, that's something. Honestly, as much as I disliked Kobe back then, he was really impressing me, and I was scared shitless of that guy when it comes to, like, dude, get him out of the Western Conference is all I kept thinking is get him out of here because, you know, give him a couple of years to rebuild. And we're not going to get past them anymore. There's no way, because who's going to guard Kobe? No one can. Oh man, but yeah, we don't keep like hold that against LeBron his first 2 seasons, but then they hold it against Jordan in his first 2 seasons. Oh, Jordan never got past Bird and the Celtics, dude. It's his first couple of years in the season in the league. What's with the double standards?
Because while it is a fact, playing the Suns in the first round is much different than playing somebody like the Nets. But I also do strongly believe that if you replace LeBron with Kobe and put him on those Cavs teams in the East that didn't have much support to work with, I don't see them going as far as LeBron took them.
Okay, and then if you took LeBron and you put him on that Lakers team, they don't even make the playoffs, man. No way do they even make the playoffs.
So I've always hated that people try to compare what LeBron did with subpar talent in the East to what Kobe did with subpar talent in the West, because obviously getting to the finals in the West has always been much harder. That path has been much more difficult.
Not just that, just getting to the playoffs itself is that much more difficult in the West during this era, that is.
But yeah, I do agree that it's kind of difficult to see how Kobe would take these Cavalier teams as far as LeBron did. I think in years like 07, 2015 when other stars were hurt, or even this year, there's no way Kobe could have kept his cool and worked with those pieces to bring them to the finals. It's not really just my opinion, it's literally what he showed throughout his career.
If Kobe was playing in the East back then, at the same era that LeBron was in the East, I believe he'd probably make it to the finals 9 out of 10 years. Like 90% odds he'd make the finals. The East was really, really weak, you guys.
Because of the type of players those two were and their temperaments, Kobe, surrounded by no talent, went into complete do-it-myself mode, and that almost never works against superior talent. And yeah, it usually resulted in him being called a horrible teammate. LeBron, surrounded by those same minimally useful pieces, would get everything he could out of them, and by the time the night was over, he'd have a large and efficient scoring night while also having his assists and rebounds that gave the team a chance to win.
Oh yeah, Kevin Love, he's so terrible. He's so terrible. He was he was in MVP conversations every single year leading up to him going to Cleveland. Such a terrible player, man, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Kyrie sucked too. He was trash. It's so stupid. This is so dumb. This is so biased.
The amazing thing about it is, when you look at what actually happened in the years that LeBron made the finals with his teams being overmatched, he consistently played well enough to give them a chance. Not so much in like 2007, but think more of 2015, which we all assumed was going to be a sweep, right? For a second there, it looked like LeBron was about to lead them to victory. Now, there's no participation trophies being given out here, but the fact that he even had to putting up a fight speaks volumes for its individual comparisons here.
Okay, then we need to give Allen Iverson a lot more credit for what he did with Philly and how Kobe and Shaq torched him in 5 games. But he did win 1 game against a team that was undefeated in the playoffs, mind you. That Lakers team was undefeated in the playoffs that year, and AI still managed to win a game against them. So let's just crown AI. AI's got a ring now.
Hell, even the 2018 finals could have been made interesting if not for... Yeah, you get the point. Let's move on. So after all of this, everything I just said, you've got to acknowledge that by his career's end, literally the only thing LeBron will not have passed Kobe Bryant in, assuming whatever team he joins this summer doesn't surpass Golden State, would be championships. I'm on record in the MJ video saying championships matter, but I'm also on the record for saying that there were plenty of other factors you had to count as well, which is why in that video I didn't even mention rings until the end. This might very well end with Kobe having more rings than LeBron, but it's also going to end with LeBron having more MVPs, more finals MVPs, points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, higher field goal percentage, more all-time performances, more accomplished with less talent, better longevity, more all-NBA teams. Basically more of literally everything in less time played.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean a thing without the ring. Steve Nash was a back-to-back MVP. 0 rings. You know? It's just what it is. Is what it is. Doesn't mean a thing without the ring. You know? We care about finals MVPs, not regular season MVPs. We want to see who goes all the way and wins it every single year. And not this like conference MVPs like they started doing, this consolation prize crap. Have you guys noticed that, by the way? How they're giving away trophies now for the Eastern Conference MVP, playoff MVP, and the Western Conference playoff MVP. It's kind of silly. It's kind of silly to me to watch it. Like Luka got MVP last year. He got an MVP in the playoffs, and then the Dallas got smacked in the finals, as we all saw. But that happened.
For me, that's where I absolutely draw the line. You can always debate who was better at the game of basketball, who had a better approach to the game as far as mentality, but you simply can't argue with facts. And when I see that LeBron has really just played the game of basketball better than Kobe did, and will have eclipsed almost all of his records in a shorter amount of time, there's just no way I can truthfully argue that Kobe is greater than LeBron.
What about just basketball skill and talent? You know, if you're gonna diminish what winning means, so winning doesn't matter, then what about actual basketball skill? Like, who's the better basketball player? Because that's where, if we can just settle it that way, that's where it's like the most evident to me. It's like, oh, dude, Kobe is the second best basketball player I've ever seen play. LeBron is, if we're just talking basketball skills and talent, then LeBron's not even in my top 15. But LeBron's really in my in my 11 spot because he has won 4 times. So that's actually increasing his position. But if we're just saying who's the better basketball player, it's not even a conversation. I got Allen Iverson way ahead of LeBron James, for instance. I got Tracy McGrady ahead of him. You know, I got a lot of people ahead of LeBron when it comes to just basketball, like playing the game of basketball. But LeBron has managed to win 4 championships at this point, so I have to put him somewhere on that list. But it's not because of his individual play, I'll tell you that much. It's just because of the situations he's been in and the fact that they've won 4 times. And if that's the case, I'll just disregard the 6 times that they lost and just say, you know what? You got 4. Cool. You're somewhere in there. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm always going to prefer Kobe just because he was the original guy who terrorized my team, and I always just like his mentality and I like his basketball IQ.
Doesn't sound like it.
But as far as rankings and who would be greater, I don't even think Kobe has a case to be greater than LeBron anymore at all, honestly.
Why?
And before I end the video, that's where I want to draw one more line. I said Kobe doesn't have a case to be greater than LeBron in my opinion. I never said not to mention those two in the same breath. Time is passing and people are getting carried away with what's happening now.
I don't feel like he actually made a case though for why LeBron is better than Kobe. I don't feel like it happened here. I really don't feel like it happened. Where's the case?
LeBron is still far and wide the game's greatest player today. He's being put up against Jordan the same way Kobe was at one point, and people are just forgetting the Black Mamba. They're no longer studying his game or his accomplishments, and I'm noticing a popular trend.
Are you kidding me? No one's... Oh my God. This video is... Wow. This video is bad for my health. Nobody emulates LeBron James. The closest to anybody who's emulated LeBron James was Ben Simmons. That didn't pan out too well. Tons of players still are emulating Kobe Bryant. Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, Kyrie was mentored by him. Kawhi Leonard. I could go down the rabbit hole and list more, but that's already enough. Just off the top of my head, that's 4 versus 1. Kobe left way more of an impact than LeBron James has. No one's emulating LeBron's game. In fact, nowadays people are taking a lot more of those perimeter shots that Kobe used to take, as opposed to just barreling it down the middle of the lane like a running back, like LeBron James does. I don't see anybody doing that. It's not a thing. People don't play like him.
And where people just try to act oblivious to his greatness. Look, don't get it twisted. LeBron may have eclipsed him, but I don't think LeBron himself would agree with those of you that try to say those two shouldn't even be mentioned in the same conversation. They're two of the game's greatest of all time. They're two players that drew serious debates for an extended period of time about how they compared to Jordan. That alone puts them in the same conversation. So in the end, I think that Kobe had some golden opportunities to cement himself as the greatest of all time. But I think that his ego and that his unbreakable will got in the way of those aspirations because it led to things like him putting the official end to the duo with Shaq, becoming too much of a one-on-one player at times, and not to mention it also led to numerous injuries that wound up being his downfall. On one hand, he gets a gigantic boost for pushing through those injuries, playing with broken fingers and all those knee problems he had, but on the other, without those injuries, there were many more records for him to break. And that's one place that LeBron is going to have on him is longevity because he didn't suffer those same injuries, and although we've always got on him for the rest thing, it's really paid off. And at this point, literally the only thing his career is missing is a great finals record. Championships definitely matter, and don't let anyone ever tell you different. But in a case like this where championships are one of the only things a player has over the other, it's time to concede. They're two of the greatest of all time, yes, but one is undoubtedly greater than the other.
Agreed. Yeah, Kobe's way ahead of LeBron. Way ahead of him. Ooh, man. That one was brutal. Nothing against you, Dom2K, if you ever happen to watch this video. Nothing against you, but our opinions on this matter are completely polar opposite. Like, completely polar opposite. I feel like every argument that you make about Kobe that's in a negative, I could easily flip that to LeBron. And in my opinion, it's worse on that side. And I don't know. I think that's just because you got a liking to LeBron, and that's okay. But to make a statement like I don't believe they should even, I don't believe Kobe has a case to be above LeBron anymore it's a pretty hard, that's a hard statement, dude. But we all get our opinions. I have mine, you have yours, and I just sincerely, wholeheartedly disagree with you. And this is coming from somebody who in the early years of LeBron's career, I liked LeBron James way more than I like Kobe Bryant. Honestly, Kobe Bryant was one of my most hated players. I strongly disliked him back then. Yeah, I like D Wade better than Kobe. I liked Steve Nash better than Kobe back then. But then, yeah, it was Kobe day in, day out just made me go, wow. You know, look at this guy's willpower and look at what he's accomplishing. And then he won those 2 more championships with LA. And after that, I was like, okay, he's number 2 behind Jordan. And if he wins a couple more rings, then I'm going to have to reassess this whole GOAT thing. But it never happened. So he gets to keep his place at number 2. LeBron, when he was with Miami, before he choked in 2011, I had a moment there where I was like, okay, the guy gonna get like 8 rings here, you know, with this team. I was like, this is so stacked. There's no way they don't win just a god awful amount of championships. So at that point in 2010, that is, I was already thinking to myself like, okay, I think this guy, I might have to just bow down and say, okay, he's the guy. Even though I don't like the method by going on a stacked super team like that, still, I'd have no argument because it's like, okay, well, he won. You know, he won, and if he was the leader of the team, then, you know, he won while he's being the man. But we saw he went 2 for 4 out there, and he bailed. So we are where we are. I don't know. Like I said, Dom, it's not personal. It's just me and you completely disagree on this one. And I'll just leave it with this. I wholeheartedly believe that if Kobe inherited all the rosters that LeBron James has played on, he would win significantly more than what LeBron James was able to do with those loaded rosters and those super teams. Even today, we look at that loaded Lakers team. Yeah, I have to say it. Outside of those first 3 championships for Kobe, like this current Lakers roster that LeBron is on is better than any Lakers roster that Kobe was on post 2004. Easily, in my mind. No disrespect to the hell's his name? Jesus, Pau Gasol, but Anthony Davis has been an absolute monster. You know, if Kobe had Anthony Davis, who's more of a quiet guy, he's not looking for attention, but he can go out there and physically dominate the way he is, forget it. It's game over. Game over. Would have been like Kobe and Shaq, but without the ego fight. Anyways, guys, I'm out. Share your opinions down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of this. Yeah, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. I will see you guys later. I appreciate you all. Sorry this ended up being a long one, but man, you know who you are who requested this one. You knew what this was going to do to me. You knew what this was going to do to me. All right, I'm out of here. Peace out, everybody.